How you going, guys? This video is part 3 of chapter 6 in a Bhagavad Gita playlist you'll find in my channel if you're new. I'm going through each and every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita For Beginners so we can pick this beautiful text apart. It's a treasure. It's called a Brahma Vidya text, the science of the absolute. It will solve the problem of your suffering once correctly understood. It's got everything you need in it. But just a quick review. What we learned in parts 1 and 2, verses 1 to 32, what was Krishna saying? Here's the path we must follow to get into deep states of meditation. We start off as a karma yogi, which is we're performing action in this world whether we like it or not. By default, we usually, by habit, by default, perform actions for my happiness, for me and mine. I'm doing this for my happiness, my friends, my family. It's all about me and mine. I'm very happy when things go well. I'm very angry when things go wrong. Krishna is encouraging us to gradually, slowly make the mind selfless. To always remember, hang on, did I create this world? Did I create this body? Did I create the food and water that sustains this body? Did I create the language I'm thinking in? Basically, give back to this reality what was never yours. And through investigation, you realize you created and own nothing. But you still feel like you own and control things. So what should we do? How do we get out of this paradox? Keep living your life. Perform your duties. But now think, I'm doing this as a service to God. I'll do my best, but whatever happens, I'll surrender the results to a higher power, to whom it belongs to. What does that slowly do to the mind? Neutralizes likes and dislikes. Gets the mind in a state of equanimity. Focusing on the job, not worrying about the results. Then what can happen? You may turn into a karma sannyasi, which is a renouncer of action, where you slowly withdraw from this world, when no one needs you anymore, when your family's moved on, you're all alone, or whatever the case may be. You're going to find less and less happiness in this world. You'll still obviously go to work, support your housing needs, food, everything to sustain this body, but you won't use this world as a source of happiness as much as you did before. You become a karma sannyasi and you spend all that time in contemplation, meditation, all that kind of stuff. Basically, karma yoga makes the mind selfless. Once it's selfless and this world no longer needs you, that selflessness intensifies as you withdraw from life and go into more contemplation and meditation. That's what we learnt up until chapter 6. Also, Krishna gave some brief instruction on how to sit in meditation. And in part 2, Krishna got into more detail about meditation, how to achieve the state of samadhi, which is very difficult, but once attained, you've realized the ultimate source of peace and happiness. And in this video, I really love the verse we're starting on. Verse 33, and we're going to end on verse 47, the end of the chapter. Arjuna keeps it real. He says to Krishna, this seems impractical. It sounds great and all, but how are we meant to do this? Let's read the verses and have a discussion. I love how he just keeps it real, because that's what we're all thinking. If you're just a regular person, like Arjuna, you're thinking, sounds good and all, but sounds pretty hard. Chapter 6, verse 33. Arjuna said, the system of yoga that you have described, O Madhusudan, appears impractical and unattainable to me due to the restless mind. Verse 34. The mind is very restless, turbulent, strong, and obstinate, O Krishna. It appears to me that it is more difficult to control than the wind. That's what we all naturally think, if you're just a regular person. Great speech and all, Krishna. But how am I meant to do this? You've told me, withdraw my mind from the world, see everyone equally, always think of God. It's so hard. My mind does not want to think of God. I want to judge others. I'm always thinking about the world and what it can do for me. Very hard. Verse 35, Lord Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, what you say is correct. The mind is indeed very difficult to restrain, but by controlled practice and detachment, it can be controlled. Krishna is very understanding. He says, look, I know this is hard. He's saying, I acknowledge it. This is hard. But also remember, there's so many things in life that are hard, but it's always worth the effort. If everything came easy to us, it's never worth the effort. To have a good looking body takes work. To become wealthy takes work when you're self-made. What, you think the spiritual quest, the hardest thing you're going to do in this life is meant to be easy? Nope. Krishna is acknowledging this and saying, but yes, by the practice of detachment, it can be controlled. We need to do as much as possible to slowly edge towards the goal. Verse 36, yoga is difficult to attain for those whose mind is unbridled. However, those who have learnt to control the mind and strive earnestly by proper means can attain perfection in yoga. This is my opinion. I love how he says, this is my opinion. How humble. He's God, and he's saying, this is my opinion. The humility of God, of Krishna. Verse 37 to 39. We'll read all of them and then have a discussion. Arjuna said, what is the fate of the unsuccessful yogi who begins the path with faith, but who does not endeavor sufficiently due to an unsteady mind and is unable to reach the goal of yoga in this life? Any beginners out there, what does yoga mean? Union with God. That's what this whole spiritual path is about. Realizing our union with God. We're always never separate from God, but we think we are. So we need to do all this spiritual practice to realize we never were. Funny game, that. But Arjuna has a concern. What about all this effort? Is it a waste of time? Verse 38. Does not such a person who deviates from yoga get deprived of both material and spiritual success? O mighty armed Krishna, and perish like a broken cloud with no position in either sphere. A broken cloud is useless. A broken cloud floating in the sky, it can't do anything. When it's part of a larger group of clouds, it can give you shade or rain. He's worried. So I spend all my time not gaining stuff in the material world, so I lose on that end. And I didn't attain enlightenment, so I lose. It is a concern. Verse 39, O Krishna, please dispel this doubt of mine completely, for who other than you can do so? He's asking Krishna, please tell me, be honest. You want me to do all this? It's very hard. What's going to happen if I don't achieve the goal? Because I don't think I can achieve the goal in this life. I'd like to. Verse 40, the Supreme Lord said, O Part, one who engages on the spiritual path does not meet with destruction, either in this world or the world to come. My dear friend, one who strives for God realization is never overcome by evil. Verse 41 and 42, the unsuccessful yogis upon death go to the abodes of the virtuous. After dwelling there for many ages, they are again reborn in the earth plane into a family of pious and prosperous people. Else, if they had developed dispassion due to long practice of yoga, they are born into a family endowed with divine wisdom. Such a birth is very difficult to attain in this world. Verse 43, on taking such birth, O descendant of Kurus, they reawaken the wisdom of their previous lives and strive even harder towards perfection in yoga. Verse 44, indeed they feel drawn toward God, even against their will, on the strength of their past discipline. Such seekers naturally rise above realistic principles of the scriptures. Verse 45, with the accumulated merits of many past births, when these yogis engage in sincere endeavors to make further progress, they become purified from material desires and attain perfection in this life itself. I went through those verses quite quick because it all links up. What is Krishna basically saying? Don't worry, dear friend Arjuna. Arjuna was Krishna's cousin, but he's addressing him as friend. He's making this very personal. He's saying, don't worry. Work hard at this. If you don't make it in this life, you're going to go to the abode of the virtuous. Then you're going to be reborn in a family where you can pick up where you left off. Now, this isn't as crazy as it sounds. With this theory on reincarnation, here's what they're saying. What goes to the next life? Obviously not your body, your soul, with all its habits and tendencies. Think of it like this. Imagine if every day you've lived is a day in the life of your soul. How many days have you lived in your life? If you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever age you are. You've lived thousands of days. Tens of thousands of days. Picture every day as one day in the soul of your life. Now look back at your life from a child until now. You feel like the same self, the same soul, the same person, but you must acknowledge you've slowly grown wiser. Hopefully in spiritual knowledge, you're becoming more wiser and evolving from when you were a child till now. Your body is obviously changing. Your thoughts and feelings are changing. Your knowledge and wisdom is also changing. So in a similar way, they say every life is like another day in the life of your soul. And just as your habits and tendencies carry over from day to day, month after month, year after year, you generally do the same thing, don't you? What you did today, you're pretty much going to do the same thing tomorrow and the next day, and what you did yesterday. So what Krishna is saying, work hard. The human birth is such a blessing. Work hard at it. Strive for perfection. If you don't make it, you're not going to be overcome by evil. The body drops away, of course, with all this material wealth that you've accumulated. That stays behind. But your habits and tendencies for spirituality and God realization continue on. So you pick up where you left off. That's why using this life just to fulfill your desires, they say, is a waste of time. You're wasting a precious human birth on not achieving anything. Everything you achieve, you're giving back to this earth. What a waste of time. That's what they're saying. So you'll be born in a better circumstance, in a position for you to pick up where you left off. Whether that means being around religious parents, or perhaps not, you're just born in a wealthy country where your basic needs are taken care of. Now you have time to think and contemplate life. When you're in survival mode, it's very hard to contemplate God, because they acknowledge in Hinduism, you need security, then you need pleasure, then you need a bit of devotion, and then you desire moksha. That's the levels of all this. So liberation is going to take as long as you take. Whenever you're ready, you're going to progress slowly towards the goal, however many lives it takes. Verse 46, a yogi is superior to the tapasvi, ascetic, superior to the jnani, a person of learning, and even superior to the karmi, ritualistic performer. Therefore, O Arjuna, strive to be a yogi. What is a yogi again? The person that performs their duties without attachment, thinking I'm doing this for God. Renouncing all the fruits of their actions to God. They're superior to the ascetic, who withdraws from life and is very austere. They're superior to the person of learning, Advaita Vedanta. They're superior to us, who are on the path of knowledge. That kind of sucks. And they're even superior to the ritualistic performer, the one that does a lot of service, rituals for a better rebirth or to go to heaven. Why is the yogi superior to all these? Because they have God on the mind constantly and they're not looking for worldly attainment. They're using this world to fix their mind on God, where the others are using this world to gain the practice of austerity, gain knowledge, gain a better rebirth or heaven. That's why the karma yogi is superior. The final verse of this chapter, verse 47, of all the yogis, those whose minds are always absorbed in me and who engage in devotion to me with great faith, I consider them the highest of all. This is the final verse, and he's leading into devotion, which are the chapters of 7 to 12. The first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita heavily talk about karma yoga, the yoga of action. What should we be doing with the body? Chapter 7 to 12, mainly about devotion to a God. What should we do with the heart? The last 6 chapters, 13 to 18, mostly about knowledge. What should we do with the intellect? So it covers everything, the body, the heart, and the intellect. Beautiful. And again, that last verse, of all the yogis whose minds are always absorbed in me and engage in devotion to me with great faith, I consider them to be the highest of all. Krishna is saying, those that love me, I love them. Krishna is totally independent, free, needs nothing from us. But when we humble and serve and surrender to God, Krishna, he becomes a slave to us. Like that verse in chapter 4, I always love quoting. However my devotees approach me, I approach them in the same way. If you devote to Krishna, if you've become his servant, he wants to serve you. He mirrors you. It's like in Japan, you bow, they bow lower, and then you bow lower. You get into this bowing match. Who can bow lower than the next person? Humble and surrender yourself to God. He surrenders himself to you. He becomes a slave to you. He loves you so much. Love God with all your heart and he'll love you infinitely more. That's what he's saying. We're always devoting to God, Krishna's saying. There's his lower nature and higher nature. What's his lower nature? This material world. Devote to this material world, you get the material world. Devote to the celestial gods, the lower gods, you get them. But how are they granting you those blessings that they can give you? Through Krishna. Krishna's the CEO. So if you love the boss, everything else is going to be taken care of. But why is it so hard to love God, to love Krishna? Because of our ego. Our ego does not want to submit, surrender. If this is God, if this is Krishna, and this is our ego, how do we realize God? Not through all this pride, arrogance, saying, I want to know God intellectually. This is just keeping the ego alive. To remove ego, we need to just surrender and say, look, I don't know it all. Let me have a faith. Let me just love, devote, surrender, pray. See what happens. What's the problem? Why not spend a year of your life sincerely doing this? How many years are you planning on living? If you're young, you've got many more years to come. What's the problem? Try a bit of meditation, prayer, devotion. It might grow in you, and then you might start thinking, wow, it was so easy, yet so hard. It's so hard because the ego thinks it knows it all. It's a computer program that whatever thoughts are fed into it, it thinks it knows it all. But here's the thing. God is prior to the computer program. So just bringing it back to meditation, that's why meditation is very important too. You can't find God through thinking. I love knowledge. I love the path of knowledge. But I had to slowly come to this realization. It was very hard for me too. Once I sit down on the meditation mat, it doesn't matter how much knowledge I have on Advaita Vedanta or anything. All that matters is you need the ability to take off this thinking mind, no matter how intelligent you are or not so intelligent, take it off like a helmet, put it on the ground, sink into deeper and deeper states of meditation. That's where you realize God in the heart. God is conscious intelligence. That if you want to feel streaming through your body, he's always there. The conscious intelligence is always there, but the ego is always drowning it out. Realizing God is an inside job. But we'll get into more devotion in chapters 7 to 12. Take care, guys.